So PvP it is. We got in the bottom left of Tokomach, herO, and in the top right it is MaxPax. Didn't really take a fair look at the map. I mean, when I was talking about the name of the map, I looked at it in the mini-map and said, okay, that's a fairly normal-looking map. It seemed to have played out pretty normally, too. I don't think I missed anything dramatic, like slow zones or gold bases. But let me double-check. That was a half gold. Half gold between collapsible towers. I'm not sure how the dynamic works here. They're definitely collapsible. Maybe they're just collapsible that way. I don't know. If you collapse on minerals, they can delete minerals, which is why I'm curious. And then rocks blocking, and then pretty fair setup on the 3 base. 4th base is maybe a little farther out. Nah, yeah, it's kind of normal. I don't know if we're gonna get there anyway. I mean, I'm thinking more in that TVP context, which we actually saw the map. Now we're in PvP context, though, and it's like, well, who gets that far in PvP? Usually not herO, but herO has really done a lot to change up his play style in PvP. I would still say he's generally a cheesy player. Generally more likely to all-in you than some other Prodosses, but it's PvP, and that's a hard statement to quantify. But it definitely has been changed, particularly against MaxPax. I think herO was the one who, for a time, proved that you could still win against MaxPax with an all-in. Then, you know, balance changed and maps changed, and MaxPax got better, and then kind of worse overall, just because of the maps, the balance, and then better, and then, well, you can win with an all-in against MaxPax, but it is difficult to do. And we've seen more Protoss either match MaxPax's energy, like for instance 1 gate versus 1 gate high ground expand, which is exactly what both of them are doing, or do a more convincing job of saying, I'm matching your energy, but actually I'm going to kill you. And that's how I believe herO won. Not the last time these guys played, because it's been a couple of weeks, but the last time I gassed them, herO was really good at convincing MaxPax he was doing one thing when actually he was doing something else. So right now we're in Stargate versus Stargate territory. Both of them scouted the 1 gate expand high ground because it is not a ramp low ground. So you kind of got to get the protection first and foremost, which kind of misses the other layer of protection that can happen around the natural. The wall isn't here, but since they're both doing the same thing, well, it's not about that anyway. What they're both doing is going into Phoenix, and it doesn't look like we have someone stopping and doing anything particularly clever. This is annoying. Zealot gets into the main with an Adept. Okay, so two units versus 2 units, but obviously herO had 2 Adepts. Phoenix was able to help as well. That is the Phoenix energy gone, but it's... I mean, that's not actually really all that noteworthy, I think, right, in this matchup at this point in time, because you're not relying on them as the anti-ground defense. You both are going air. That's the fact, especially with MaxPax's second Stargate. And you're not going to go for harassment either, because you just know that if you go for the other guy's probes, he's going to have a defensive advantage. So, yeah, energy, definitely use that on killing the Adept before it kills any more probes. MaxPax did get an additional probe kill compared to his opponent, but it does seem like herO has the slightest lead in probes. Somehow, some way, not sure exactly what happened, but we're talking like a probe and a half lead, which is not going to amount to too much. Going to be paying a lot more attention to the second Stargate already being up and running. I am not sure why... I mean, something must have happened in the... Okay, well, the 4th gas is not particularly well timed, it looks like. Well, I really like MaxPax's position a lot more. I don't necessarily care about this probe and a half lead that herO has, especially as they're both going to get saturated on their 2 bases very soon. Maybe just a tighter builder, actually. The probe count not being the biggest thing. Otherwise, a tighter builder for MaxPax. Because I don't think it's a gamble. I don't think it's faster second Stargate, which is going to win the game, by the way. Like, this is over. This is done. defender's advantage, defender's advantage, defender's advantage. Hold on, maybe not done, maybe not done. That was awfully close. Snowballing happens very quickly with Phoenix. But I was trying to say is that I don't think that the extra probe is necessarily going to make up for... Okay. Is necessarily going to make up for that Phoenix deficit, but it might if this third base actually comes down. The focus right now on the micro for both players, so unfortunately, it does look like MaxPax is going to stay even on that third nexus. So actually, yeah, the additional probe probably not worth that very much heart attack moment of did I just die right there? He did not, and it really has equalized. So as far as the not the Phoenix count, but because we are now producing 2 Phoenix at a time, we're back to just being good old-fashioned. Okay, we're gonna have the Phantom's advantage. Fleet Beacon comes down for herO, but he loses a Phoenix right off the bat. That's unfortunate. It's just the flower effect from MaxPax was better. And well, okay, now I'm back on MaxPax just wins here. Yeah. It did equalize on production, but the Phantom's advantage did not save herO. He was running around with the Phoenix a little bit. They were not grouped up, and then the 2 Phoenix lead that couldn't win the game just 2 minutes prior to that did win the game, as it started off with a much better engagement. I'm still kind of confused, though, how MaxPax got such a significant second Stargate lead. I could definitely point to the 4th gas. That was not an optimized timing for herO. I'm pretty sure about that one. I'm not really sure about that probe. The probe and a half lead. Where it even came from. Because it actually should have been more like 2 or 2.5 probe lead. Right? Because he lost 2 compared to the 1. But wherever that happened, it did not seem to benefit herO. Nope. You know, I mean, the longer the game goes, the more that a probe lead can give you. But, that's not that much. And then the amount of investment that you get from it at that point in time, well, it wasn't worth it. Just straight up, it wasn't. He barely held on because the fight, I think, was kind of more of an equal micro battle despite being at the Phoenix deficit. Then the Phantom's advantage kicked in. But as soon as MaxPax took the very appropriate fight, the I gotcha bitch fight, there's just nothing you can do after that. And MaxPax does seem to be still, in my opinion, the best Phoenix vs. Phoenix player. But he messes up as well. Just not that game. Did it fine, did it well. And now we're on ley lines. MaxPax up 1. Bottom left, herO top right. herO is in the winner's position. So if MaxPax 2 zeros right here, then he's going to have to play another best of 3 versus herO anyway. But that was a very nice start, very easy start for MaxPax. I mean, at the end of the day, any type of cleverness that happens is noteworthy. That's fine. That's like, be as nerdy as you want about PvP, great. But the actual battle, I mean, it was... You had to kind of sweaty try hard to make sure your Phoenix, where, as I was saying, microed better. Okay, sure, but it happened so quickly. It happened so cleanly. It happened so decisively, because even that first battle that didn't win the game still told MaxPax what he needed to know about his position in the game. And it was one of the easier PvP wins I think you're going to get. herO is going for a 2-gate possible expand. We know that he's not, but he has gone 2 gateways, so MaxPax sees that. He knows that. He knows about the missing pylon as well. And, it's definitely not impossible for this to be an actual expansion. It's just, you would certainly think first and foremost, oh my god, he's going to attack me. I think that's what you should do. That's what you have to do. And so when herO does manage to kind of subvert those expectations, say like, I'm going to all in you, just kidding, I'm actually not. That's how MaxPax can royally screw up. Is because he's like, well, I gotta predict the all-in initially, so I gotta be really protective. Oh my god, you expanded twice while I was being protective. Okay, fine, you got me. Like, that has happened, but this is absolutely an attack MaxPax, I thought for sure he was going to check the natural. But I guess seeing 2 gateways at home, he was like, well, there's nothing that the natural that would scare me anyway. But that's not true. Like, it's very scary. I cannot believe herO gets away with this for so long. Now, a shield battery comes down lickety-split, and that's really important. Again, MaxPax knowing, predicting first and foremost that he is being attacked, gets a shield battery as fast as he really can. But only now has he discovered a shield battery farm in his natural. Oracle is going to send over to the main base. It's going to force a couple of units to either stay at home. No recall available, so can't do that. That Oracle could do some significant damage. But can MaxPax hold on at home? Now, he could sacrifice the well, not sacrifice it. He could cancel. Okay, well, now he has to sacrifice it. He could sacrifice the natural. Especially if this Oracle kills, 15 probes. And I think he has to. But herO shouldn't take the bait. Yeah, herO shouldn't... probe, no, block up! herO, it kind of has to win the game right now. He's lost 12 probes. He's only going to lose more. He has no defense against that Oracle. Void Ray does pop out, however, and the pylon is still alive. No second pylon, but we don't have the attempt to go after it. I don't think we can at this point. The Void Ray is just ripping through these stalkers despite the shield battery attempt to save it. Guardian shield taken out. Void Ray still being juiced up by the shield battery. Recharge could be available. The probes could be pulled. MaxPax has some to give. MaxPax has got it, I'm pretty sure. Second Void Ray is almost out, guys. Force Void Ray really doesn't have to die. More time can be bought. Another Stalker warping could happen very soon as well. That one pylon, I mean, okay. The solo pylon is a little sad, but actually the high ground pylon does the job. 2 shield batteries depowered, 2 still up and running. That's all you need. MaxPax with a swift 2-0 to rebound from the losers bracket and force us to the true grand finale, the true final best of 3. As quick as you possibly can, I would say. I was looking at the timer for the bets, and I was like, I mean, PvP can be fast, but 10 minutes might be safe. I'm really glad I changed it to 5. No maps from the previous match. The other new maps include something called Torches? Magana. These fucking map makers, I swear to God. Maganatha? I might have a little more sympathy if I really believe these map makers are, trying to educate us about, their culture. But I'm pretty sure the person who made, Jagannatha, for instance, was not Hindu religion. I feel like, how the joke used to be that Korean players... how they decided their English handles was just by flipping open the English dictionary and pointing at something. It used to be the joke, if you didn't know. I feel like with map makers, it's not that they close their eyes and pick something on a dictionary. They found a dictionary of only unknown words and non-English words. And then they were like, okay. yeah, Addison. Thanks. I think maybe the map maker who made that Swedish train station name maybe was actually Swedish. Maybe. I just hate having to go over this age-old debate about whether or not we should really be try-harding how to pronounce it. Which I think all of you know my opinion, which is I don't think you should try-hard it. I feel like no matter what, you're in the bad position. Which Swedish train station? I would not remember. That's the thing. It was pronounceable when I learned how to pronounce it. But again, I still wasn't close. Yeah, Rad is said. There you go. I still wasn't close. And that's just always going to happen because no matter what, you could try and be the croissant of Americans because that is the correct way to pronounce it. But you know what that gets you? Everyone making fun of you. And a French person would say you're still not pronouncing it right anyway. There's just no winning. There's absolutely zero winning. And don't even get me started on the whole, like, well, you would learn to pronounce someone's name. First of all, it's no one's names. Okay, I'm not being directly rude to some person when I can't pronounce map makers' names. Second of all, people of different accents mispronounce my name all the time, and you know I don't get my panties in a twist about it. In fact, I find it fucking adorable. Which maybe isn't the best word to use, but it's true. When people say Jessica, I'm just like, oh. Because the language works like that. That's so good. That's so neat. That's great. Or having Crank, you know, try to pronounce the grubble-a-dub-dubs. It was funny. He did a really good job. My mom rolls her R's when at Mexican restaurants, and everyone just looks at her. You know? Or they're just like, good attempt, whatever. I have so many problems with it. And I feel more and more like the map makers have found the perfect way to troll commentators. You know, there used to be a really big feud between commentators. Well, more players, actually, and map makers, to be fair. But still, there used to be like there was like a time where there was like a bit of a feud. I remember this. And I feel like the map makers convened in their little Twilight Council and were like, we need to just like take the ultimate revenge. Forever. And that's how they did it. But anyway, this is not one of those examples. Because I can pronounce this one. In the top right of torches, it is herO. And in the bottom right, it is MaxPax to get ourselves a new TLMC map that has the slightly different way of the map position, map starting positions. We do have a natural with a ramp. It's the only reason why they went for a gateway. On the low ground, both of them doing it, but will herO continue with it is the question. Why is it called torches? Well, I don't really care if it does have a reason for it because I can pronounce it, but it does look like they have added a lot of torch doodads. And I appreciate that. I really do. I feel like you just got to be on the nose here. Hopefully this doesn't slow down everyone's computer because of all the torches. Lighting effects. Seems okay. Let's talk about the actual map design and to see both players continuing with that 1-gate expand. I mean, herO hasn't really done anything tricky off of the forward 1-gate. I don't think. I mean, he's always gotten a Nexus after it, but you can still do something more aggressive after that. But it's about that Nexus timing currently. MaxPax's going to be able to get his down at the same time as herO's by the looks of things. No one's really going to further delay. Well, MaxPax's probe is weaker. And herO just won that battle on the offense. Well, hold on. Hold on here. Both of them did get Zealots, however, and none of them decided to cancel at the last second to try and greedily get a faster Nexus. That would not have been worth it. As both probes did go to block what would be like a 300 mineral Nexus, right? Because if they cancel the Zealot, they could kind of sneak it in faster than you expect. Both probes were there. No one gets a sneaky Nexus. It is, however, a difference of Stargate timing right now. So even though the Nexus actually came down at the exact same time for both players, the difference right now is that herO, instead of going for a Stargate, he went for a Stalker. Which, you know, is not much different in cost than a Stargate, but is it as effective as a Stargate? No? So I'm really curious as to why he did that. Perhaps just not wanting to play the Stargate game. Could that honestly be one of the reasons? You certainly can't do it now. I'll tell you that much, and there's no reason for MaxPax to even try and go into Phoenix. But it does still mean that herO is the one on the defense. herO is the one going to have to block out potentially 2 Oracles. Not much else by 2 Oracles, to be fair, so you should be able to block out the 2 Oracles, especially when you have a full wall and the natural blocking the very, very light amount of pressure from the front. But it is going to be that dive towards the Twilight Council. Hallucinated Phoenix makes up for the lack of scouting that would happen when you don't go to your own Stargate. And then a Zealot from herO runs across town. Is going to be a bother. MaxPax with no army. Back at home. Timing was a little off in the shield battery, unfortunately, so 3 probes do go down. But it's actually pretty even overall. Yeah, the middle is blocked out like you would expect from, let's say, they had like Golden Aura or Golden Wall, sorry, or Eldorado. Kind of mix those two up there. But what it's blocked with is actually not rocks like every other map has been so far. They are making use of the new doodad, which is the creep block, which means that it dies eventually. So this doesn't die because you go and kill it. It dies because it's off of creep, and so it's dying steadily over time. So that's a nice little change. That's a little change up on this kind of genre of maps. We still got the little points of pressure that are hoping to find herO miss-microing or just slightly out of position. Not happening to any significant degree as of yet. herO does fall behind a bit in probes, and that does make sense after losing 5, actually, at this point. Okay. So that got upped by 3, or by 2, you know what I mean? And that probably still won't matter. Blink is still pretty damn close. I mean, this is why it really seems better to go into the Stargate. Very much a personal opinion and probably biased as well. Just what's the word? When I see things work more than I don't see them work. But it does seem like if you do it well, right? If you don't fall into any traps like, you know, dying to someone being aggressive on 2 base, and you're just like, oh no, well, Oracle's clearly a probe, so I guess I'm dead at home. If you didn't fall into a trap where you thought they were going to do X instead of Y, right? Having 2 oracles kept alive for, you know, much of the game, potentially killing probes, forcing the defense against the oracle as well. It's never a non-issue, right? You got to get the shield battery, you got to make the stalkers, you got to position them into the mineral lines. And then also still having the same blink timing, basically, just seems so good. And herO didn't really get a lot aside from that. Now, he does have a faster 3rd Nexus, but only by a little bit. And he does have 2 sentries that could be crucial, but they are dying as I am speaking. One already dead, second one barely saved. Oracle with the stasis trap. They've got a little, like, Sideshow Bob rake thing going on if herO were to try and go after this army. And unfortunately for herO, there's no way to take care of this. I mean, he just has to know that there is a minefield here, and he knows that he can't blink aggressively. So it's not that he's maybe necessarily worried about dying, necessarily. Still gotta worry. Blink micro is still paramount here. It's more that you can't get anything done in turn. You can't be like, aha, you over-dedicated, and then chase after him. Now, we do have 2 stasis traps taken out, and a nice force field, actually. Kind of blocked out a stalker from MaxPax, so the force field did end up helping out. But with so many stasis traps, that's such a high consideration. That's taken away some of that mental focus, some of that APM. Obviously, it takes away 2 stalkers, which when the battle is so close is significant. So again, it's more like herO just can't do anything to really, really punish any slight overextension from MaxPax. So maybe MaxPax doesn't get a lot from this, or maybe he does. Maybe he opens up an opportunity for the Oracle to swoop into the natural. This won't be it. Yeah, one probe died, but the actual... not worth it, not worth it. But that is what you would have to attempt, right? But herO, playing very well, was on guard for that. Stasis Trap in the main did collect a couple of probes and a stalker as well. It does look like MaxPax is slowly winning out the stalker battle. Doesn't help that herO had to have the stalkers back in his bases. 1 shield battery doesn't cut it when there's 2 oracles that could potentially pair up. And there was only ever 2, right? Yeah, okay. And this actually just seems like herO is slowly but surely dying. MaxPax holds on to a 3-worker lead, now up in the army supply. Slower to the upgrade, though. Okay, so herO did manage to sneak in some type of advantage. +1 attack going to finish very, very soon. Stalker count 18 to 20. 2 sentries with a Guardian Shield. That is significant. Yeah, MaxPax going to have to respect that. Unfortunately, loses the 2nd Oracle. But with 5 Stalkers caught in the Stasis Trap, MaxPax sees an opportunity. While his +1 was later than his opponent, his charge was much faster. A couple of charge lots adding in just a little bit of oomph to this, right? They get a couple of shots before they go down, but more so, they just take so many shots before they go down. Now, usually 3 or 4 or 5 zealots helping out an army like this isn't exactly what you want because you can micro away from them and you can tear them down and, you know, they feel a little useless at times. But they can also sometimes be what just tips it over the edge. In this case, herO doesn't win right there, MaxPax doesn't win right there, but he got a faster 4th. I mean, his 4th is done. And here hasn't even started his own. That's terrible. That's no good. That's no good. And the upgrades have equalized. herO decided to go for a double forge. I don't think it's going to make up for that 4th Nexus. I don't think so. Ornal Habit, thank you very much for giving that sub. That's 100 gifty subs from Ornal Habit. So thank you very much for the long-standing support. I do have MaxPax once again engaging on his opponents. Now he's got an Immortal and his own Guardian Shield as well, helping out. He's not able to just aim, move, win it. And he still has to be a little careful, I would argue. Oh my god, herO blink right into the Immortal, does go down. Soccer's forced to flee. MaxPax, though, reinforcing with a lot of Zealots. Might still have the better trade here. And that is exactly what I think is happening. And even if he doesn't... Okay, he is forced to flee. Even if he doesn't, he falls down by 10 supply. His 4th Nexus, saturated, is so good. But it looks like herO is going to be able to get up his own 4th Nexus. No cancel necessary right there. So he will equalize the economy. He's going to have a superior upgrade position. 2-1 versus just 2. Currently has an upgrade lead, by the way. MaxPax does have his own technology, though, in the form of Dark Shrine. So Dark Templar is going to make an appearance. One headed towards the natural. No, that's a Zealot. No, those are Zealots. Where the hell is the DT? One DT headed towards the 4th base. That's not particularly sneaky, but maybe you don't need to be sneaky. Only one observer here for herO, but it is in the right position. MaxPax goes nope, 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 nope. And that is a better decision. But he is falling behind in the upgrades. He did not win with that push, despite it looking very promising. herO is able to hold on. Now he has a slight army lead and an upgrade lead. He is missing an Immortal. He is missing the DT tech. That could also be Archons, by the way, but not right now. But that doesn't necessarily guarantee damage. The Immortal doesn't necessarily guarantee damage. You know, maybe it shoots a... Oh, and he actually... Okay, and they have equalized on the Immortals. But the DTs don't necessarily guarantee damage, especially as herO has picked up on the timing as well by the looks of things with MaxPax's DTs. But 3 DTs will kill a cannon, no problem. herO was hoping that would take care of it. It does not. He will lose a lot of probes behind this push, but will he win with this push? MaxPax goes after the Warp Prism, takes away the instant reinforcements, but does he have enough? He took a very bad fight to start things off. Didn't expect herO to be so aggressive. Was perhaps focused on the harassment, which is doing a lot of damage. But he does not have the army. Zealot's getting wasted. One cannon of his own, not going to be able to help out. This is MaxPax's 3rd base. He does need this. The DTs will eventually be cleaned up at home, and herO did not take, you know, 40 probes of damage, which would turn this into something of a weird base trade. It looks like herO would have actually brought this game back. Zealots on the backside getting a lot of swipes off on the Stalkers of herO, but it looks like MaxPax is going to have to tap out. GG. All right. herO on the defensive for most of that game, biding his time, trying to make the right calls for the long term. Finally gets rewarded for it. Perhaps herO, or perhaps MaxPax did over-aggress at times. Can't really blame him any attack that he did, though. I mean, the attacks almost always had some opportunity. Units were stasis trapped. Immortal was... well, no, it was his own Immortal, wasn't it? Yeah, so units were stasis trapped. His stock count was higher. Or his economy was supposed to, you know, repair any damage, self-inflicted damage they did. I can't really say I saw an engagement. I was just like... No. They all made sense to me, but... herO just held on a little too well. And now we're on the final game, perhaps. Bottom left it is herO. Top right it is MaxPax. This has been a very quick finals thus far. Although the last game was more typical time. The first best of 3 between these two was over in, what, like 6 minutes? It's crazy fast. MaxPax seemed to have gotten a significant lead with that 4th base, but not able to really take the engagements he was hoping for. I'm sure if I had checked the resources lost, there would have been an advantage for herO. That's how that would work for him to come out ahead after being delayed his 4th Nexus for so long. As I said, I didn't feel like MaxPax took a particularly bad fight, but perhaps just a couple of those fights are supposed to end up with him not losing an extra soccer, or herO losing an extra soccer. Either way, for as many fights as that had happened in that engagement, in that game, that could have been the real difference maker. And then MaxPax took 6 extra stalkers to his opponent when he pushed into the building 4th. I mean, maybe he wins right there, but it was not so. Perhaps the Zealots, what looked to be a real boon, ended up not contributing as much as they should have. Again, sometimes they just aren't very useful looking. There's only 3 or 4 Zealots, and they just get microdanced. And that's 400 minerals in a very tight game. Even though 4 bases is pretty good, it's still a very tight game. And if herO was retaining his stalkers better than his opponent, while also dealing with the Zealots cost efficiently, there we go, then yeah, MaxPax's faster charge did not end up being the masterful stroke of genius that he was hoping for. And herO, who dedicated to the future, dedicated to those faster upgrades, benefited from it. Maybe some stalkers lived and they shouldn't have. Both players, once again, low ground gateway. It is a ramp map on Ultral. Both of them getting the Nexus down. No, actually. herO was significantly delayed. So, I did not catch what made that happen. There are really tiny little micro things that happen. Like, again, you can cancel the Zealot. So you have an extra 100 minerals in your pocket that your opponent doesn't expect. Their probe is in position to block the Nexus. You can chrono or not chrono, and that changes. Actually, yeah, they kind of have to check if you're chronoing the probes in the main with the probe, which misses the opportunity to get the block on the Nexus. But what's really concerning, as a Zealot does kill 2 probes, okay, at least herO has that going for him, but was really concerning was that MaxPax got a faster Nexus by quite a bit, but then also the Stargate, much faster. Once again, herO going for these extra stalkers, which are more expensive than the Adepts, but then also just production when you could have maybe forgone the production. Forgone makes a lot more sense. And maybe got that faster technology, which would have been a Twilight Council. Now, with the timings of these technologies, as the pylon of MaxPax is destroyed, got to be careful about that one. Does end up, letting these Adepts through, right, which would have been the main concern. Maybe the Stalkers were definitely worth it because they stopped that pylon from letting the Adepts get through. But then also is that shield battery shenanigans that sometimes MaxPax does. Anyway, the Twilight Council is much faster. So last game I was talking about how that Oracle opening can seem a lot better because it gets all this damage and harassment and scouting. And you still have blink timing on par with your opponent. But this is different. You do still have the 2 Oracles to provide you, hopefully, advantages for the first, 7 minutes of the game. They do fall off, and blink is going to be the main bread and butter. So the fact that the blink is significantly faster for herO means that MaxPax is going to have a harder time getting a 3rd, potentially. And we got a little game of basically, I need to protect myself against these Oracles, so I can't be too aggressive with the Stalkers, but then again, I have this really significant blink lead, so I would love to be able to lay that 3rd Nexus. Yeah. Mac Descent, thank you for the 63 months. I'm doing okay. I am sick. Hallucinated Phoenix once again doing what the what herO is missing is the scouting. So he's getting that scouting, seeing the timing of his opponent's Twilight Council to a degree, I think. No, I actually didn't check the main at all. But, that's by and by. Like, you're going to see a Twilight Council. You're going to see it being researching most likely blink. That's normal. There's not much else that a Protoss can do in this matchup. What I think would have been a more significant find from the Phoenix is this Forge. Just because I mean, that kind of tells you the intentions a little more. And there could have been gateways maybe in the main that you didn't account for, too. Kind of, you know, what are they putting their resources into is always the question of scouting. And in this case, with that forge, you know they're not going to have a sizable attack anytime soon. Even if they had a proxy pylon out in the map, it's not going to be a significant addition of gateways and reinforcements. And the third nexus does come down from MaxPax. But behind that of heroes, MaxPax got this really big lead on the nexus. Didn't actually end up gaining that much of a probe lead. Maybe some economy lead, just because, yeah, the spike of the saturation, but not that much. And now he's behind on the third nexus, not only behind, but also on the ropes. This is dangerous stuff. herO, I mean, the blink is done for both players, but herO's coming in with a slight stalker lead, plus the Sentry of the Guardian Shield. Now that is gone. Shield battery completes. That's going to take up some of the shots, more so than help out any other way, but herO does not have that big of a stalker lead. And a second, a cannon is going to finish, actually, not a shield battery. 5 probes being killed apiece from this or that. Cannon does finish. More reinforcements are going to be on the way. And herO is not going to be able to get this kill on the Nexus. He does still have the probe lead, however, but he will not be having the upgrade lead. So that's really what MaxPax was hoping would kick in. If he was really on the ropes, he needed to have some amount of stalkers, you know, not dip below 10. And then that +1 was going to be big. And kind of in a similar fashion to the last game, but flipping the positions, MaxPax has that +1, but herO has the charge. What herO doesn't have is a reinforcement point. No pylon, no warp prism. Robo only completed very recently, and so he will not be able to continue the pressure and try and stop this from being saturated. Cannon and shield battery also were done, so MaxPax really had the protection he needed on that third base. Goes swiftly into the +2, so we'll continue holding that upgrade lead for an indefinite amount of time. And seems like he's found himself into a stable position. Remember that herO does still have that charge. He's adding 4 gateways right now. He has a pylon over on his 4th base, but that's not a probe, that's a bot. Looks so much like a probe, actually. And so, does he go for the 4th nexus? Does he actually saturate the 4th nexus? Or does he invest everything he has into the now 8 gateways that he's about to pop out and try and go for an attack? He would time it out with +1. He would be able to reinforce with an Immortal, but without a Warp Prism on the way, he's not doing that. MaxPax gonna need to match that 4th base timing, and he does. With the decision to go for the 4th base from herO, you know, he's not going to try and all in again, get that Warp Prism ASAP, and just 8 gate 3 base it till he wins or dies. That will give MaxPax time to get charge as well. And herO's charge decision never even really came to fruition. I didn't mean to rhyme, but it just happened. It didn't do anything. He got it so much faster than his opponent, but did not end up being able to use it. There's just no opportunity. And so now that looks a little lame. You know, you much rather have that 60 seconds on the +2. His charge is going to equalize. A little disappointing for herO, most likely, but it's going to have to play the game that he's dealt to himself to a certain degree. Temple Archives on the way from MaxPax. We'll be able to add in a couple of those Archons. Yeah, I think he got a scout. Let me check. Yeah, he got a scout on the amount of gases that herO has taken. And that's literally only 3 gases. So he knows that there's going to be a buttload of charge lots, potentially. I mean, he's actually the one with the buttload of charge lots. They both have 3 gas. No, 4 gas. Okay, so I was going to say, you can't just go Templar Archives. We're not talking about a lot of Archons here. Even 1 or 2 extra could be helpful against someone who would expect to go for a lot of Zealots as well. But I don't know, man. This Archon actually seems not useless, but maybe not the most helpful. The Zealot number is scary if they get us around. But herO, despite being on a low gas, has really invested everything he can into the Stalker production. 10 Zealots are coming forth right now for a little buffer on the front, giving his Stalkers time to kill these Zealots, but that Archon helps clear out herO's Zealots, sure, but there's so many Stalkers still around. I mean, the Stalkers actually just seem better right now. But that +2 is in effect for MaxPax, a Guardian Shield and 2 Immortals. And herO, he can micro a lot with these Stalkers, though, and losing a couple right there. He can micro a lot. Wasn't the kill move that he was hoping for. The 2 different compositions clash together, And it was kind of a stalemate to a certain degree. MaxPax forced to kind of do like an odd recall right there on his units that kind of got too ahead of themselves. But yeah, a little bit of a stalemate. They're now equalized on upgrades. MaxPax did not rush over to that +3 as he was engaging in battle. Decides not to go for +3, but instead to go into armor, which, yeah, is what herO was doing. As they both continue to have a low gas count. I mean, the Zealots, they're going to be plentiful. That's the best way to put it. Yeah, the Zealots are going to be plentiful. 25 Stalkers remain for herO, though. I mean, I really don't want to discount that. When the Stalkers are forced to stand still against a bunch of Immortals, Archons, and Zealots, well, of course they suck. But when they don't, because they shouldn't, then the Stalker micro ability is godly, actually. The Zealots rush forward into their deaths. The Immortals are like crab walking behind, being like, wait! And I would say that the Zealots could be maybe better at trying to go for these two-pronged attacks, but it's actually herO who's doing a better job two-pronged attacking. So look at that Warp Prism up to the north, taking advantage of a lone Immortal right there. herO was on the retreat to the south, and MaxPax maybe could have gone for a base trade, but realizes it's too far gone. He's got a main army in his third, some Zealots in his natural, and his fourth base, and he would have maybe killed the fourth by the time that he's lost maybe 3 bases worth of economy. Tough decision right there from MaxPax, but he decided to go for, you know, certainly the safer path. But that means that he's limping. Doesn't lose too many probes, but is still down by 10. He doesn't have a lot of excess minerals to fully protect his bases, so the fact that he's, you know, he has consolidated. He is the one moving this army around in a kind of more predictable fashion than herO, although both have now been blinded as the observers have gone down. And MaxPax has to always decide, do I let this base trade to happen, or do I continue just defending? And I think the base trade is probably the better point, but it's not really a base trade right now. It's only a couple of Zealots in the main and natural. herO's main army is going to be forced to clash with MaxPax's. He does have an army lead of about 10. Defender's advantage as well. Probes have been pulled. Shield battery out of juice already. Could be recharged. Anything helps right now, because this is do or die. MaxPax has to win right now, or he is out. He did a brilliant job in the first best of 3, made it look easy, but has struggled in the second best of 3, and it looks like herO, Jesus, with a herO blink to the Immortals, is going to take the battle and the game and the series and the tournament. And that'll be that for the Monday Night Weekly.